Have you ever wondered why we tend to learn better from people we like? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? It seems that our personal preferences play a pivotal role in our ability to learn and assimilate information. This is not merely a social phenomenon, but a fundamental aspect of how our brains function. Cognitive neuroscientists have been delving into this topic, using a series of experiments to uncover the intricate relationship between our likes, dislikes, and our capacity to learn. The findings are intriguing and have far-reaching implications extending from our daily interactions right up to how we perceive the world around us. So, are our brains really wired to preferentially learn from individuals we like? And if so, how does this influence our perceptions and beliefs? These questions and more are what we'll be exploring in this video. So join us as we explore how our brains are wired to learn from individuals we like. Memory integration is a vital function of our brain. It helps us to learn and update our existing knowledge. Now let's delve into the concept of memory integration. Picture this. You're taking a leisurely stroll in the park. You spot a man walking a dog. Later in the day, you see the same dog in the city, but this time with a woman. Your mind naturally draws a conclusion. The man and woman must be a couple, even though you've never seen them together. This is memory integration in action. Our brains are incredibly efficient at connecting different pieces of information to form new insights. Memory integration is like the brain's superpower. It allows us to make inferences about things we don't have direct experience with. It's the reason we can understand the world in a broader context, beyond our immediate experiences. For instance, we don't need to touch a hot stove to know it will burn us. We integrate past experiences of heat, knowledge about stoves, and perhaps stories we've heard about others getting burned. This way, our brain uses memory integration to keep us safe without having to learn every lesson the hard way. But here's the twist. This amazing process isn't foolproof. It can be influenced, swayed even, by our personal preferences. Researchers have found that we're better at integrating information presented by people we like compared to those we dislike. Think about it. If you like someone, you're more likely to remember what they say, how they say it, and connect it to other things you know. But if you dislike someone, you might not pay as much attention, or you might even dismiss what they're saying outright. This bias in memory integration can shape our perceptions and beliefs. It's a fascinating insight into how our brains work. However, this powerful process can be influenced by our personal preferences. This finding has far-reaching implications, from how we learn in the classroom to how we form our political beliefs. But more on that later. For now, let's take a closer look at how our personal preferences influence the process of memory integration. Now, what happens when our personal preferences come into play? Well, let's dive into the fascinating experiments conducted by the researchers at Lund University. They set up a series of tests involving everyday objects, such as a bowl, a ball, a spoon, even a pair of scissors. Participants were tasked with remembering and connecting these different objects across learning events. But here's the twist. The information was presented by different people, some of which the participants liked and others they didn't. And when I say liked and disliked, we're talking about personal preferences based on factors like political views, hobbies, music taste, even eating habits. So, what did they find? Well, the results were striking. Memory integration, the ability to remember and connect information across learning events, was influenced by who presented the information. If it was a person the participant liked, connecting the information was easier compared to when the information came from someone the participant disliked. Imagine it's like trying to catch a ball. If it's thrown by your best friend, you're more likely to catch it. But if it's thrown by someone you don't like, well, you might just let it drop. The same principle applies here. Our brains are more receptive to information given by people we like, making it easier for us to connect the dots and remember the details. This doesn't mean that we can't learn from people we dislike. Of course we can. But our brains have an inherent bias that makes it easier for us to absorb and integrate information when it comes from people we have positive feelings towards. It's a fascinating insight into how our personal preferences can shape our learning processes. So our brains are actually biased towards learning from people we like. It's not just about who knows more or who explains better. It's also about who we like more. And this, my friends, can have profound implications on how we perceive and understand the world around us. This selective memory integration can shape our perceptions and beliefs in real life. Consider a practical example from politics, as illustrated by Ines Bramau. Let's say a political party advocates for higher taxes to fund improvements in healthcare. Later on, you visit a healthcare centre and notice significant improvements. If you already have a favourable view of the party that proposed the tax increase, you're more likely to attribute the improvements to the tax hike. This is a classic example of how our brains connect information and draw inferences. Now let's look at the flip side. Suppose you don't like the party that proposed the tax increase. Even if you notice the improvements in the healthcare centre, you might not associate them with the tax hike. Instead, you might credit other factors or circumstances. This process is selective memory integration at work, and it's heavily influenced by our personal preferences. But what does this mean for us as a society? Well, this selective memory integration can lead to reinforced polarization. We are more likely to learn from and agree with people we like, which can result in us only accepting information that aligns with our existing beliefs. This can create echo chambers where our views are constantly reinforced and rarely challenged. On social media platforms, for instance, we tend to follow and interact with people who share our views. This can create a filter bubble where we're only exposed to information that aligns with our existing beliefs and preferences. This selective exposure further reinforces our views and can contribute to increased polarization. So it's not just about learning from people we like, it's about how this preference can shape our perceptions, beliefs, and even our understanding of the world around us. It's about how we connect experiences, form inferences, and update our knowledge. In essence, this research underscores the profound influence of personal preferences on our learning processes, extending beyond social media filter bubbles to our basic brain functions. Our personal preferences can influence not just how we learn, but also what we believe and perceive. So, our brains are not just learning machines, they are also preference machines. This fascinating revelation underscores the importance of personal preferences in our learning processes. Our brains tend to favour information presented by individuals we like, a bias that significantly influences how we connect new experiences and form new inferences. This selective memory integration can even shape our perceptions and beliefs in neutral contexts, pointing towards an inherent bias in how we absorb information. This insight extends beyond the social media filter bubbles we often talk about, touching on the very basic functions of our brains. Moreover, the potential for this bias to reinforce polarization in our society is a critical consideration. The key takeaway here is the power of personal preferences in our learning journey. Next time you learn something new, think about who you're learning it from. It might just influence what you remember,